Hey everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I am Peter, that is Connor, and we are going to talk about Doctor Who, Season 11. I had to think about that. I was like, what season are we on? Episode 1, it's called The Woman Who Fell to Earth. So, that's a reference to the old movie title, actually, for The Man Who Fell to Earth. But, yes, so, new season of Doctor Who, new showrunner, new Doctor, new everything.
Fresh start.
Completely
New
fresh.
composer.
New aspect ratio. Most important
Yeah.
thing about the whole shebang.
I was wondering how long it'd take you to mention that.
Not even a minute. 30 seconds, whatever it was.
Yeah, 30 to 40 seconds tops.
Yeah, so it's a lot of fresh new things, new sidekicks, new companions, multiple. In fact, it's a whole little squad of them this time, as opposed to just the one. So yeah. So yeah, just full spoilers. I was considering should we do a spoiler-free section in this, but I don't think anyone who's interested in Doctor Who's diving right in. They're not waiting for opinions before they try it. So full spoilers for the episode, as always. So, well, did you like the new Doctor? Did you like Jodie Whittaker as a Doctor? Did you like the episode?
Yes to all of the above.
Yes to all of the above. That's positive. That's good.
Yes.
Yes.
No, very much.
No, I thought she was good. I thought Jodie Whittaker had the energy she needs to be a doctor. I didn't love the episode completely. Like I thought there was some fun elements to it. I thought the main villain was kind of goofy.
Well, then you're in the wrong show.
Well, no. Let me clarify this. He's goofy when I don't think he's supposed to be as goofy as he is. And what I mean by this is that at one point he takes off his mask. He looks kind of goofy anyway, but he takes off his mask, and everyone's shock and horror because he's got teeth sticking out of his face. And I just kind of felt like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, I know. I thought it was pretty effective, and I don't know why you thought it looked goofy beforehand. I don't agree with that.
Too clunky. It was moving too clunky. It felt like a clunky TV suit to me. I don't know. What do you want from me?
Yeah, I think you're gonna just have to get over that because it's Doctor Who.
I'm just saying it should aspire to do better. Why can't Doctor Who
I thought
aspire?
this was better. This looked. I thought it looked all right.
I'm just saying,
especially the suit itself. I thought it was a pretty all right design.
Because before this, you got the other thing, which is just the ball of cables and things, the tentacles, cables.
I really like that in the dark. You know, when you first see it on the train, it's just coming down the hallway at them.
Yeah, it's a force of nature.
I thought that was pretty effective. It's all these like tentacles kind of slapping everywhere.
Yeah, see, I think that was more interesting to me than the just the generic alien dude who turned out to be kind of doing the plot of Predator in a way, where they come to Earth to hunt someone. I mean, they hunt someone specific, so it's a little bit different to Predator, but still, it's a hunting ground. They pick a target, they come and they hunt someone, and they're hunting this poor chap who is listening to self-help audiobooks while he's at work, driving cranes. Do you drive a crane?
While afraid of heights.
You man a crane. I don't know if you drive a crane specifically. I mean, you are technically moving it, but
that's a good question.
So does the word drive apply to a crane? I don't know if it does. But
no, crane operator.
Crane operator. I suppose. Well, it's a big crane like that. Sure. I suppose if you're in something, it's more mobile, like a.
Yeah, I want like a 2 or 3 story one that you can actually move around.
You can, it's actually got like tracks and treads, and you can move it. Yeah. Maybe then you're driving a crane, but
maybe.
I mean, I don't suppose there's a market for this because you'd be kind of a useless employee. But I suppose in theory you could drive that crane without knowing how to operate it. But then just learn to do both. Just have the person operating to drive it. It's fine.
Imagine driving it there and go, it's all yours, mate.
Yeah, union. I'm not allowed to operate it. I'm the driver. You operate it. Right, I'm going to go. You take care of it. But yeah, so yeah. No, I mean, I had fun for the most part. I like her as the Doctor. I like Whittaker as the Doctor. The companions so far, I think they have good chemistry. I think the weakest link right now is Ryan.
That's fair.
He's just a bit blander than the others. Whereas Graham, who's the older guy, of course, who's his step grandfather, which you don't really think of step grandfathers as much, but yeah. So he's the step grandfather, and you get their relationship, and you get Yaz, who's like an old school friend who happens to be a cop now, and it's like, okay, so this is our setup, and I do kind of like it by the end of the episode. They like the Doctor. They've kind of, okay, right, she tried to help, and it's kind of dark that someone died on her first mission. It's like, you wouldn't necessarily blame them for like being, you know what, I don't want to go along with you because someone already died because you were around doing things.
Yeah, that was something, I'll be honest, I was kind of waiting for throughout the episode.
Yeah.
Because obviously in all the promo stuff, there's not been a ton of promo material, but I was familiar enough with these three companions and knowing, okay, there's three companions. I'd seen nothing about this other woman. So I'm like, is she just staying behind or is she dying?
Because, I was thinking about that early on because I didn't really know about the other two, but I knew about Graham. And I was like, this feels weird that he's going to choose to leave his wife, who we see all episode he's very loving with. He's happily married now, and he's his later years. They're a very happy couple. I'm like, why would he choose to leave and go on an adventure with the Doctor? It doesn't feel like it fits with his character, unless of course she's not here anymore. So it's kind of predictable in that sense. Although I think that the death itself almost felt random the way it happened.
Yeah, no, I get that.
It was just all of a sudden. Like I actually just did like a bit of a head tilt when she started like giving her final, cheesy TV death words, which is like, don't move on without me, don't be sad, and she's lying there. I'm like, wait, does she know she's dying? What? That escalated quickly, like very quickly.
I mean, she did get electrocuted.
No, she did, but it was very sudden. I don't know. It was all of a sudden she's dying. I was like, okay, which it's not to say that you can have a sudden death and make it work. But there was nothing visually outside of the electrocution itself when she's lying there, other than just sort of pretending to, or acting, I should say, to like sort of drift off as she's talking. There was nothing to really visually indicate there was any real injury.
Do you know what I think the problem is?
Yeah.
Electrocution is inherently more sudden.
Sure.
Because this, you say, oh, it's sudden in the sense that, oh, it just kind of happens. But there's the electrocution, and then there's a good, minute of her lying there.
Yeah.
And that's the bit that feels weird, I suppose.
Yeah. Like, I think the fact that she was awake at all, if he'd walked up there and she was fried, like she looked like a fried chicken or something like that, then I'd be like, yeah, okay, fine, you got this shock, quick death, right, fine, and you've got the horror of it. But instead we get the final words of, oh, go on without me, my love.
Yeah. No, I'm with you.
It feels weird that she's aware that she's about to die after that.
Yeah. No, that's fair.
The scene played weird for me. So I don't know. So yeah, there was a couple of clunky moments like that, I thought. I did think the villain was a bit goofy. And not as effective as everyone. And it's not just you. Everyone else I see on Twitter, everyone else is like praising this villain. They think he's a great villain. I don't know.
I get why when you take off the mask, I get what they were going for. I'll be honest, I was slightly underwhelmed, but not because of anything the show did, but because when she's like, what did you do with the teeth? And he starts taking off the helmet, I was like, oh, please give me like a teeth child thing from Channel Zero. Please just like be adding to himself like that. And then it's like, okay, there's teeth sticking out of him. But I don't think it looked bad at all.
I think that's almost what made it worse, though, is that I've seen the Tooth Child from Channel Zero.
Well, yeah, no, I think that is it. Is like I was going, they're doing something like that, and then they weren't. They weren't trying to do that.
Yeah, but that was inherently just a lot more creepy. Do you know what I think? I think the way they shot him more than anything else is what made him lose any of his. Because I get no intimidation from him. There was the whole time he felt like just a cheesy TV villain of the episode, as opposed to someone that I'm actually not terrified. I don't get terrified of villains in TV shows, but someone with actual presence, with menace, who because I couldn't help but feel like towards the end when he's climbing up the crane and he's like this imposing predator, like stalking his prey and walking towards him. Instead of actually getting this feeling of this force of nature, because that was the thing, that the ball of cables had that presence on the train. It had this force of nature keeps coming kind of vibe to it.
No, there were definitely points where I felt the force of nature. The bit where the drunk guy starts throwing his kebab salad at him.
Oh yeah,
and, he
wonderful
kills him, and the way
scene.
but the way he crouches over it and then walks off, just uncared. It felt very Terminator-esque in the way it was shot to me.
I think the acting of the drunk guy kind of ruined that scene for me, though.
That's fair. He
Yeah.
was not the best.
I mean, I was having a bit of a time just getting used to the Sheffield accents for the most part, but that guy was actually bad on top of having the accent, so it was just
Yeah, see, having spent a few years living in Yorkshire, not far from Sheffield, they were very just normal to me.
yeah. I don't know. There was a couple of lines here or there. It was Ryan especially who had a very thick accent. I think that's why he's the kind of the weakest character for me
Oh, okay.
up until this point. There was a couple.
I didn't think his was that strong.
It was when he said things like when he realized he's the one that kind of like gave the okay for the alien to come down because he pressed the buttons in the light, and he shouts out something like, "Oh, your access has been revoked by me." But I can't do the accent. But it was the way he said that. He had this heavy twang, this twang on his accent as he said it, and it's something hilarious to me about that accent being shouted at an alien. It's just extra bizarre to me.
Do you know what I think is interesting? Obviously, you can pick out that it's a pretty different accent.
Mm-hmm.
You're familiar enough with it. I wonder how the if the Americans even notice, because I know to a lot of Americans, my accent and yours sound the same,
Which is laughable.
Yeah. To us, that's crazy.
I sound devilishly handsome and I have authority in my voice, and you sound like a dweeb. I'm done. Continue.
I was referring strictly to accents, but fine, you had to go personal.
Accents are part of that.
All right. But yeah, I wonder if any Americans had a weird moment with the accents.
I want to make it clear, it's not because it's like a weird British accent. I think there's the assumption here could be made that I'm just not used to like sci-fi stories being set in this part of the world, but it'd be the same in like if it was like set in the US and it was like a thick Louisiana accent. I think I would find that equally ridiculous having the thick Louisiana accent shouted at an alien. It's just there's just certain really strong accents that they feel, I don't know.
Do you know what? I'll tell you why I'm
thick, I guess.
I tell you why I feel I'm so used to this, and it's not the same accent, but it's the same rules. It's a maybe a stupider sounding accent, shall we say?
Yes.
It's not neutral, is the point, but Torchwood was very, very Welsh.
Oh sure, yeah. That's true. That took some getting used to, I admit. When I watched Torchwood,
right? But because I'm so used to Torchwood in the Doctor Who universe. It did, these soft Yorkshire accents didn't really feel that weird to me.
Because when you watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Simmons is hiding that Yorkshire accent. She's putting on a bit more of a
she is because she's from Sheffield.
Neutral voice. Yes, she sounds doesn't sound. And no offense to anyone from Sheffield, but she doesn't sound ridiculous when she's talking about aliens.
Yeah, if anyone wants to know, like a thick Sheffield accent for comparison, Sean Bean is a thick Sheffield accent. So comparatively, in Doctor Who, these here are pretty soft.
Mm.
They're not that bad.
Yeah, I don't know. It was just sticking out to us. But that guy with the kebab was just. He was rough. Even the way he was stumbling around looked fake to me. Like you're not even pretending to be drunk properly.
No. But I did find it wonderfully, charmingly British to have just a drunk guy with a kebab.
It's just, I don't know. The scene played more like cheap comedy to me than anything else, which is
no. I get that. It was after he was dead that I got all of the stuff from the villain. Like, that it felt okay. He had a presence in the rest of the scene.
Yeah, it's not like I'm not saying that I can't enjoy a cheesy villain. I can, but I think he was supposed to be a bit more menacing than I was finding him, and that's where the disconnect was happening.
I do think this is you because I don't get this at all.
Nah, he was a bit lame. I wasn't feeling him. But the actual ball of wire stuff that was a bit more interesting. But that looked good for the most part, I thought. Yeah. I like the characters for the most part. I mean, I'm sure they're going to tease a romance between Yaz and Ryan at some point. It seems like the obvious thing to do.
Almost inevitably, yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's just fine. They have decent enough chemistry. She's set up quite well as to where she's like this go-getter who's like sick of doing parking tickets and things like that, and she wants to do more interesting things, and her commander kind of puts her on a joke. So, oh yeah, well this guy called about this weird object, and it leads to Ryan and the Doctor and everything else. I did think it was strange. See when the Doctor like arrives in the train, because we don't see her for like a good 15 minutes or something like that, 10-15 minutes of the episode, and then she falls in the train, and it's presumably right from when she's fallen from the TARDIS at the end of the last Christmas special, and afterwards when it's calmed down a little bit, she starts the Doctor starts asking questions, and she actually asks, who's still in her police uniform at this point, her name, and she says, whatever her rank is, PC, whatever her last name is, I can't remember what her last name is, but and she's like, no, I asked your name, not your, and Yaz hits back with like her full name, like all 3 names, and I'm like, what police officer would just answer that question and give their full name like that? That just felt weird to me.
I don't know. I don't think that's that weird.
That's a little bit weird.
I don't think so.
I feel like her response to it is, no, I'm the police officer here. I asked the damn questions.
Yes, but she's clearly flabbergasted by the situation at hand.
Sure, but I don't know. It just that played a bit weird to me. Was that? I mean, Graham's constant "let's not run towards the alien" stuff was played well for me. That was funny.
I think Graham's the most easily likable from the get off, because he's got just the grumpy old man thing going on.
Yeah. No, I think he's good. I think Yaz is good. I think Ryan's a little bit weak right now, but he could develop. Because I thought the YouTube opening ending, which by the way I was laughing a little bit. Not that I should have been laughing as he was talking about his dear Nan and her passing away and how great she was, but I did laugh at. Just this is a really subtle, unrealistic thing, and I'm not really criticizing the show for this. But as we're on YouTube and we pay a lot of attention to YouTube numbers.
I think I know where you're going with this.
He had 19 views, but he had 11 likes and 2 dislikes. What?
No, that's not even the unbelievable part.
It's unbelievable to
me.
me.
A video just titled "Hey."
Oh sure, yeah, that's.
Who's clicking on a video that says "Hey"?
Well, that's fair, but no, like typically, you have to get a lot more views than that before you start getting likes and dislikes. Like if you get 19.
No, see, I get the likes in this instance because it's friends and family who are watching this. They're the only people going to see this, and who
are the dislikes then?
Exactly, that's what I'm getting to. I'm saying the likes makes it. It's people go. It's like liking a thing on Facebook. I think is the equivalent here.
Okay.
The people who are disliking it, kind of dicks, or more likely, they're 2 random people who stumbled onto it and like, what the hell is this?
The typical ratio would be you'd have like 5 to 10 times the number of likes and views, or something even more than that. Even you'll see something that has 20,000 views but only has a few hundred likes. That's just the normal kind of ratio you're looking at. So the fact that he had a combined total of 13 like clicks on either like or dislike out of 19 views was just a little bit much.
Like I said, I think it's a friends and family thing showing support for.
Okay.
Hey, your nan's dead.
All
Maybe
right.
a like.
All right. Okay. To go with it.
It crossed my mind too as well.
I noticed it though. Is the point I'm making? I noticed it. It went. These numbers seem a bit bloated. But yeah, it was actual YouTube though. They had all the actual YouTube logo and stuff, so they wanted it to feel authentic. So fair play.
Yeah. Which we spoke a lot about how you're taking some time getting used to the accents, and I think that it's an interesting shift. Not the accent, but the location, moving away from London, because Doctor Who for the past decade has been going, hey, London, that's it. Like Torchwood, like I said, is dealt in Wales, and we've had the odd thing outside of London, but mostly it's been there. So to go to Sheffield, as I go, hey, Sheffield don't get aliens, as your opening to the season is a bit of a statement, being like, hey, no, it's a bit different, and I think all the characters react. They're a bit more grounded in the dialogue. Obviously, the Doctor's still very over the top and comic booky, but there's a lot less of everyone else being like that as well.
Yeah, well, the Doctor's the best part about it. I mean, I think obviously we've kind of been talking about everyone else, but she has the energy. She has a couple of funny lines here or there about how she does things. She has like a whole montage where she builds a new sonic screwdriver. She has no TARDIS yet. The TARDIS is still lost. She builds a device to try and transport to the TARDIS. It ends up, this is the thing I was mentioning at the end, no one decides to go with her. She accidentally takes all 3 of them when it almost kills them, because at the end of the episode is them floating in space all dying.
Yeah.
So it's just as you do. But the montage with I mean, I thought it was a cool montage, and it was a fun sequence. What one little editing nitpick I've got though is that there's like the big shot at the start where she puts on the welding mask and she shuts it. It cuts immediately to a shot with her not wearing the mask at all, and I thought that was a really weird editing choice.
It is because it's up and down throughout the montage anyway,
which is fine, but you don't cut straight to just being completely open after the first shot of it going down.
No, I agree. That probably should have been like somewhere in like 2 or 3 shots in.
Yeah, because there was a lot of random things going on in that montage with blowtorches and all sorts, and
Yeah, it was a fun enough montage. Her going, oh, spoons, getting the Sheffield steel.
Yeah, there you go. So and it's got a bit more of an alien-looking design this time. It's got a bit more.
I like that. You know how like a lot of the doctors have their kind of personality trait, their thing. Hers so far seems to be the inventor, right? Like
Sure,
she's kind of like she's like, oh, I can build it probably, and she kind of just puts it together out of these scraps in a warehouse. And it's the same with the device she's tricked up at the end to get to the TARDIS. It's kind of like all these bits kind of put together, all this circuitry and wires, and it's I'm kind of down for that. And I think it's nice because obviously Ryan wanted to be a mechanic. I think was what he was saying he was training to do.
Yeah.
So obviously he's going to learn some alien mechanics now, which that might help.
Oh yeah, no, a mechanic and the police officer should be very useful. A bus driver, I'm not sure where he fits in.
Look, I'm not gonna lie, I'm with him. Bus drivers, no shit. Bus drivers and taxi drivers, they're the two that know what's going on.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, I have to admit, I think the death itself, of Grace felt a bit flat for me.
I like everything that comes from it, though. Like the actual moment, I thought, was a bit weak.
I thought the moment and the YouTube and the bike stuff didn't really land for me. The bike thing felt like such an obvious just kind of device. Although I'll give them credit for not having the moment at the end where he takes off, being able to ride it, just magically.
Yeah, he's still failing over and over.
Yeah, but although in the back of my head I'm going, okay, so that means at the end of the season we're going to have the moment, or better yet, even in one of the plots throughout the season, he's going to have to ride a bike to save the world or something like that. And he's going to do it. He's going to pull it off.
And that's fine.
And I might roll my eyes a bit at that, but
no, I got no problem with that.
It's just such an obvious device. That's all I'm saying.
No, it is. But I'd have had a problem if I was a little concerned where it does the build up. That first shot where he's like, no, I'm going up there with the bike. And I'm like, oh god, are they just gonna have him do it first time? And I was worried about that.
Mm-hmm.
And then they don't, and he's just failing, and I appreciated that. I think as long as it's treated as a big deal when it happens at some point in the rest of the season, I'm all right with this.
Okay. I think you're a lot more forgiving of some of the cheesier elements of Doctor Who, whereas I think
Doctor Who has always been inherently cheesy,
and that's fine. I'm just saying, I like when it nails things. I think it can be better than that though, and I think with this new showrunner, with the new writer, with the new Doctor, I feel like it's aiming, and the new aspect ratio, it's going for a slightly darker, more mysterious tone. I mean, it's still sure the Doctor at the center is still hilarious and still wisecracking and talking fast and doing quirky things.
I think you say, oh, it can be better than that. I think it's just undermining the spirit of the show. Like, it is supposed to be a bit cheesy. That's not going, oh, it can be better than that. It's good being cheesy. That's part of why people like it.
Well, how am I supposed to argue with that though?
No, but it is, that's part of what the show is. It's supposed to be like, it's not going, oh, being better than that is doing the cheesy right. It's not getting rid of it.
Oh sure, no, I can agree with that. I'm not arguing that. I'm saying there's better cheese than what's on offer. Because the cheese with the villain in this episode, I felt was actively going against what I think the villain was supposed to be making us feel, and the presence that he was supposed to have.
I'll give you things like the death being a bit sudden, and the cheesy death scene like that. Mm-hmm. I'm with you. The awful acting drunk, I'll give you that. But I don't agree that the villain itself was cheesy. I don't think this.
I thought it
was reasonably effective.
I think part of the reason finding him cheesy comes from, like, if I'd never seen anything like this before, Yeah, maybe it'd have worked for me better. But I've seen many a villain like this in many a show and many of a movie. He's the type of villain you'd get in a weaker episode of the hit television show Buffy the Vampire Slayer. One of those throwaway villains of the week kind of things that you have.
Oh, I mean, that's always the case with the first episode back, because it's never about the villain, really. It's just, okay, here's the new Doctor, right? And you always have that, okay, a bit scrambled, figuring out who they are. That's always the focus of these first episodes back with a new Doctor, and this is no different. It's kind of very true to form as to what a Doctor's first episode is. So it's maybe a slightly weaker villain than like some of the really good villains that the show's had.
Mm-hmm.
But I think you're undermining it by saying it's just cheesy, and I think that's unfair on this one.
I think this villain is cheesy, but it's not like I don't think the Daleks are cheesy, and I don't complain about them being cheesy, because they're the type of cheesy that I expect from Doctor Who, and that's the cheesy for me that works. Right? Or even the Cybermen are very cheesy, but there's like a darker side to them about what they're doing and how they're taking lives away and just assimilating and the rest of it. That's not this villain in his plot. Like the way he looked, do you know what it is? The teeth thing felt like it was just trying too hard. And not pulling off what it was trying to do. So it just felt try hard, I guess, is what I'm saying.
Fair enough. But you said you thought the suit itself was kind of cheesy.
Oh, I did. I thought it was really clunky. When he was walking about in it, it felt like a cheap TV costume, I guess, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, see, I don't feel that at all.
I don't know how. He looked like a Power Rangers villain.
No, he did not.
He pretty much did.
No, he didn't.
He pretty much did. I
don't know.
know.
You have not watched Power Rangers in a long time.
I think you'd be surprised how recently I may have watched some Power Rangers. No, I don't know. I think you forgive certain things with Doctor Who because you have this like attachment to it, which is good for balancing the discussion because you've got this that you as a longer time fan. Which, by the way, Connor's on vacation next week, which means I'm reviewing next week's episode on my own. So brace yourselves for that. There'll be no Defence Force for next week's
I hope
episode.
It's a strong episode. That said, to be fair, next week's episode looks to be leaning into the sci-fi quite a lot.
Yes, actually, can I just say I thought it was a little bit strange at the end, but there was like a coming up this season in Doctor Who, but all it really was just a lot of headshots of all the actors that are all the guest stars that are coming.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting because usually we always get a next episode tease on Doctor Who, and at the start of the season we always get the this season one.
Yeah, there's also usually opening titles, which was not on this episode either. Yeah,
no, it's true. I think very intentionally because we hadn't seen the Doctor yet, and they were like, "No, we're saving it."
Okay. But yeah, I thought it was
in
funny.
The same way that we've not seen the TARDIS yet either, which is they've not shown us the interior of the TARDIS in any of the promo material either. So that'll actually be a big reveal.
Out of like 15 names or whatever it was that went through at the end with all these like just like headshots of them as they turned around and the name came up.
Don't tell me the only one you recognised was Lee Mack.
That was the only one I recognised.
I knew you were going.
I was like, that is the only one I recognise is Lee Mack. He's not even that big.
There's always a token comedian in the season. Like we've had Frank Skinner in there. James Corden's done a few bits. Yeah, there's always one.
But more notably, Anthony Stewart Head was on an episode many a year ago.
That was a great episode. That was the episode that brought back Sarah Jane Smith. I love that episode.
Yeah, but he's Giles from the hit television show Buffy the Vampire Slayer, which is far more important.
Yeah, it was also a giant bat creature.
Well, that's fine, but
kind of in keeping.
But Giles, we like to talk about music a lot, and all the Doctors of recent years have had main themes, and this Doctor does have a main theme, does have a very unique music style compared to the previous Doctor. A bit more ethereal, a bit more majestic. I want to say more strings.
Yeah, I mean, well, I don't know if I'd say more strings because the last stuff was very string heavy.
Sure, okay, but the last one was very the action strings as the horns were playing.
Yes, Hollywood strings.
The strings here were more actually the melody as opposed to the strings in the last one, which was more rhythmical for the melody, which was coming from the brass.
Yeah, no, I like it. Going in, we'd not heard any of this music. We'd not had a hint of what the new composer was doing. It's very different to what we've had for the past decade. I'm feeling it so far. The main theme, it's all right. I'm waiting to see a few variations, see how it's used. Hopefully not overused like some of the previous themes.
No, I like it. I like the
But
music.
I like what I heard so far.
I like her. I like the characters for the most part. Like I say, I think Ryan needs some growth before I can really get into him. He's a bit more
Yeah,
of a
but we'll get that.
blank slate.
I'm sure.
But I like the other two, and yeah. So I mean, typically my problems with Doctor Who tend to boil down to some of the weaker plots and some of the weaker villains. I thought this was a fairly solid episode. Like, as much as I'm giving it critiques here or there, and I'm saying, and you're getting really defensive at me saying the villain's kind of shitty.
Because it's you know what, it's the one thing you've said that I outright just disagree with today.
Yeah, but you can't really argue against it. If I think he's shitty, I think he's shitty.
I know, but I just I can't comprehend that one. Like you know, like you're going, oh, the deaths, you know, all the other little things that you can say. Yeah, sure, I get those. This one, I don't see it.
Oh no, I thought it was good. As soon as he started walking around, I was like, okay,
It's all right. The internet's got my back.
We're doing this type of villain army. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Takes me back to my youth. Reminds me of a villain from the 90s. I guess that's why I was bringing up Buffy so much with the cheap villains from like, the early seasons.
You were bringing up Buffy so much just because you had an excuse to. And you
yeah, but I also brought up Power
it.
Rangers, which I also thought was applicable. You also bring up the original. Well, I don't think the original Charmed had enemies like this. Admittedly, they tended to be more demony, but you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm anything like that.
No, I liked. I thought the direction was really strong, actually. There were certain points where it was doing. You know, when we follow, you know, the guy who takes the pod.
Mm-hmm.
And we just follow. It's this aerial shot, and we follow the white van.
There was a couple. This is not a criticism, but there was a couple of show-off shots early on when Ryan was with his grandparents. He was sitting at the edge of a cliff, and there was a shot like from the side of the. I was like, this. They spent a lot of money and time on this shot just so they could have a good shot at the start of the episode. To like, hey, look, we can do cliff shots now, and
yeah,
and stuff
you
like
can't
that.
blame them for it though, because it works. It looks good.
Yeah. My question will be though: are we going to get a few of those every episode, or did they just blow their wad on the first, just to cook us, just to like, hey, here's some style for the first one?
No, it's
I'm
potentially
curious.
that's the case. Sometimes you get start and end of the season, get your big shots. The rest's pretty by the numbers.
Yeah,
and that's not exclusive to just Doctor Who. A lot
No,
of
it's
TV
not.
shows have that problem.
That one really stuck out to me because it felt like more showy than what I expect from a lot of Doctor
That's
Who.
fair.
But it's not, like I
We'll
say, it's
see.
not a criticism. It's an observation.
It looked good from what we could see in this episode. It's just whether it'll maintain that.
Yeah, the whole crane sequence was typically pretty good.
Yeah.
You know, grabbing the guy, him having to jump, Doctor then jumping to the higher crane, which is a bit more nuts.
A bit more challenging.
Yes. The jokes about her legs used to be longer and about being such a long time since she's bought women's clothes and just
That's another thing I liked. Her actually going out and buying clothes in a shop rather than just having the TARDIS generate. It's the same thing as why I like the screwdriver. You know, her creating it herself. Well, should we be calling it Swiss Army knife as she calls it now?
But not a knife because only idiots carry knives.
Yeah, I thought that was a very intentional topical thing because of the knife crime in London at the moment.
Yeah. I was fine with that line. That line.
It felt in character.
That felt like the sort of topical crack that the Doctor would make to me. That never stuck out to me as being like shoehorned in or anything like that. No,
I think it's just because I'm so used to being like, oh yeah, we're not having guns. I'm so to hear no knives, which you don't hear that often. It was like, okay, that's a response, and that's fine. I'm down for it, but it stuck out to me.
Yeah.
I like the not just having the TARDIS provide it all and just doing it herself. It's a bit different.
Well, no, I like having the TARDIS not be around. The hunt for the TARDIS being like, and having the characters having to go through at least a few of the journeys before they make the choice to stick around with her actually feels a lot more believable. Because it's kind of ridiculous how many of the characters, the companions, have just after one episode.
Sure, why not?
Yeah, let's go on an adventure. Yes, that sounds great.
That said, if someone went up to you and said, "Hey, you can go to any time, any place," you'd be like, "Hell yeah!"
Well, it depends. Do they look shady?
Well, I mean, does the Doctor usually look shady?
Some look shadier than others.
That's just true.
Peter Capaldi comes up to me and says, "Hey, get in my blue box. I want to take you to another time and place." I'm like, I don't know, mate. I'm not feeling it.
Yeah, no, I'll give you that one.
And Matt Smith's a bit too hipstery. I'm like, no, I don't want to be stuck in a box with you. Leave me be.
Tennant or Whittaker. It's like,
Tennant or
maybe.
Whittaker, yeah, I'll maybe take a chance with those two, but
Eccleston's on the moody side.
Eccleston looks like he might stab me.
Yeah. Do you know what I was a little disappointed about in this episode?
Uh-huh.
And this is gonna sound stupid, but one of the big key lines from the first episode back of New Who was, Rose going to the doctor. It's like, why do you sound like you're from the north? And he's like, every planet has a north.
Yeah.
I was really hoping to get a return to that with all the accents going on and
yeah, actually,
her just being like, oh, you're an alien.
whenever the subject of Capaldi's accent came up, there was always he always kind of brushed it off with like a joke. I thought it was kind of weird almost that this doctor actually referred to it as a Scottish accent. When she was when she was talking about 2 hours ago I was a white haired Scottish man or something like that.
Yeah.
I thought that was a bit weird, given how he kind of addressed it every time it was.
I think that's just down to new showrunner changing how they address the whole concept.
Yeah, no, I mean that's. I mean, it's a nitpick in terms of continuity, I guess, in a little way.
Yeah.
Or maybe less continuity, more consistency, I guess, arguably in this, because it's not really a plot point as much as it's.
Yeah, it's really hard with Doctor Who to be annoyed. Like it's the point where every time there's a new showrunner, it's almost a new show. Like this is as much season 1 as it is season 11.
Kind of, yeah. It's got a weird, kind of James Bondy in that way, which obviously is the comparison as well because of the actor changing. But
yeah,
in the sense where I know there's like 1 or 2 James Bond movies where there's some continuity that travels between actors, but for the most part, it's kind of like the history get wiped almost every time.
Pretty much, yeah. And it's kind of like there's always references to, oh yeah, okay, that all happened, but for the most part, clean slate, fresh start.
Yeah, the real ballsy thing would be, and obviously they kind of did this when they brought Tennant back for the 50th and stuff like that. But the real ballsy thing would be to like have a cameo from like an old companion or something like that, and have some sort of touching moment between the current Doctor and.
You mean like when I was just talking about how Sarah Jane Smith came back in that episode with Giles?
Oh sure, yeah, but she was ancient. No, that wasn't like 2 seasons ago. That was like that's when.
Yeah, that was like what? That was season 3, maybe, of the new stuff.
Yeah, so obviously they do it. I guess what I'm saying is that since I've been watching it, and since the 2005 reboot, if you will, is that it did kind of feel like after a certain point, those companions, whatever, when Tennant left and Davies left, those companions were gone. Now, we technically got Rose in the 50th as well, but it was like a weird ghost thing.
Yeah.
Something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But that's because Rose is locked in a parallel Earth that we can't get to.
Sure. But are we expecting to see anyone from the last few years pop up anytime soon?
Probably not.
I thought so.
I mean, I know Jenna Coleman's mentioned that she'd be down to do a little bit here or there in the future. So it's not impossible we'll see her.
Yeah. So she can be. What they should do with that is have her not know it's the Doctor for a long time, because she would never expect it's a woman, and just be like. Just think it's some random person.
Yeah.
And then have the Doctor kind of pull out the screwdriver at some point, and her just be like, "What? You have changed, Doctor." I don't know.
Yeah. I think actually the closest we've had in terms of recurrent companions over Doctors is still all Moffat stuff, is River Song. Sure,
but well, I mean, when she first showed up with Tennant, though, right? So that was still Davies who was writing that time.
Yeah. But it was Moffat episodes that she showed up in.
Right. Okay. So he was kind of planting his own seeds for his own stuff later.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, that makes sense. But again, that was the same person. Whereas seemingly every time a new showrunner comes on, they kind of just want to wipe the slate clean, so they can just do what they want.
And that's kind of just the situation, right? It's just like that's how it's gonna be.
I feel there's a lot of stuff in Doctor Who though. You just tell me that that's the situation or that's the way it's done, and just accept it.
But this here is that it's like it's almost like comic book runs. It's like, yeah, you might get like references to the odd thing here or there, but a lot of the time a writer will come on and just want to do their own thing and create their own stuff and do, right, here's my story.
Sure, yeah, kinda.
And I feel I feel like Doctor Who's kind of like that. Well, they'll take bits. The history's still there, but they just want to tell their own stories.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah. So no, I liked it well enough. I just didn't. I'm just not gushing over it like you are.
Yeah.
And the villain was cheesy. I'm sorry. Fight me.
Oh, I have. I will.
He was a cheesy villain. What do you want from me? He was kind of sucky. All right. He was kind of
Give him
sucky.
shit comments.
Which is fine. Like I'm like the effect on the character still works for the most part. The intimidation is not quite there, but the what actually comes out of it, and the Doctor trying to remember and having her moment and saving the guy, and then criticizing the guy because he had no right to kick him off the crane.
I liked that.
Yeah,
that was a nice little moment.
So all the moments that come from the villain are fine. I'm just saying the villain himself, he's a means to a plot end and nothing more.
Yeah. In the script, I agree.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. And that's okay. Not every villain has to hit it out the park and be this memorable thing where you're going to be like, that was a good villain. You remember that presence and the first time they stepped on screen and they had, that big kill or that face moment or whatever villains have.
Yeah. Just one other thing I liked. The Doctor she had a pretty good first speech. The Doctors often have a lot of speeches here and there, and most Doctors have one or two memorable, good speeches.
Yeah, Capaldi's got a few. He did a couple of big speeches.
Capaldi's got a couple of great ones, yeah. But I thought this was a pretty solid first speech from Whittaker. I will say, she mentions, I fair play throughout the universe, and all I could think of was Mr. Terrific.
Okay, yeah.
I was like, she needs the Mr. Terrific jacket now.
And there is 4 of them now.
There is.
There's 4 of them.
I mean, she didn't know what to call them as a gang, a team,
Yeah, so Yaz is...
Why not we...
Yaz is Phantom Girl.
Obviously.
I guess Rise...
Graham's Rex.
Yeah, and then Rise Plastic Man.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're terrific.
He's not fun enough to be Glass.
Nah. He's kind of your James Marsden at this point, really, in terms of who he is. He's just a straight guy more than anything else.
He's the metamorpho dog. He's like, it's fine. He's cool. We'll bring him along, but he's not adding that much at the minute.
Not yet. Yeah, so that was the first episode. It had its moments. I think the characters are where it shine, but that's typically what I say about Doctor Who. I typically think the plots and the villains are the weakest parts of Doctor Who, and the characters and their journeys tend to be what I enjoy more. And then sometimes it can have a lot of fun with things.
I'm looking forward to the rest of the season now, though.
I'm looking because I feel like this being the first episode, it's almost anchored into having to be the Doctor introduction, and it's set up some interesting things where it's okay, we don't have the TARDIS yet, we're sort of jumping around without it, and we're trying to find the TARDIS, so that's different as well. So that's some hope on that front. But I think in general, I'm looking forward to seeing how the season as a whole is handled differently by someone else with different ideas. How do they? Because I think Doctor Who for the last few seasons was getting stale because it felt like it was kind of revolving around the same kind of ideas and structure.
It is,
for a long time.
And that's probably one of the biggest critiques I'll have of this episode is the ending cliffhanger, because I got sick of this cliffhanger exactly under Moffat of, oh look, they're all gonna die, like, because you can't do that every episode because they're not gonna die. You gotta do something else. This one I'll let it off just this time, but that's it. Any more of this season, and you're having problems.
I do like that it's more of an ensemble. I like that it's not just one companion. I like that it's a little team.
Yeah. More fun.
So more people to play off each other. Sometimes I think, because like I say, the characters playing off each other is usually what I like, and sometimes just having the two kind of limits you there a little bit. You want to have a bit more to bounce around, different combinations.
Yeah.
But hey, so that is the first Doctor Who episode of this season. So do let us know what you thought in the comments below. Let me know how much you thought the villain was cheesy. I'm happy to hear about it. Like and subscribe. Get us on Patreon at patreon.com/MailFuzzTV if you want to support the channel and everything else. like I say, Car's on vacation next week, so I'll be reviewing next week's Doctor Who on my own, and then Car will be back for episode 3 the following week.
God help you all.
Hey, knowing this, it'll be the best episode ever, and I'll praise it to high heavens, and then I'll never reach that height again. So to you, it'll still feel like I'm complaining every week. But no, there was that one fantastic 10 out of 10 episode that you weren't here for.
Yeah, that will be the case, won't it?
My perfect. Either that or it'll be the worst episode of the season, and I'm just going to tear it to shreds.
Yeah, because there's every season has one. Every season has one episode that I hate with a passion.
And again, that doesn't have to be the case. You're just accepting that. It can be better than that. It can not have that stinker.
It can be. And I always hate that episode. And I wish there wasn't that episode. This is not me accepting that. I'm just saying, as a trend, I look at the last 10 seasons, and every season I go, that one. That's the episode I hate. Every time. So I hope that's not there this time.
I feel like when we reviewed the last season,
next week.
I had like 3 or 4 like that, where I was like, these 3 or 4 are just shit. I'm pretty sure I felt that way last season.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
fair enough.
And because there was one that you really liked. There was that one that started off like a haunted house mystery, and I was really into it for the first like 10 minutes, and then it just nosedived in quality.
I like that one.
It went straight to the garbage heap, and you for some reason liked where it went, but even though it betrayed everything it set up at the Anyway, that has been Doctor Who season 11, episode 1. It's going to be weird getting used to saying season 11. There's nothing else we watched that goes up to this high a number in terms of seasons.
Not yet.
Not yet. I mean, some things might get there eventually. Those CW superhero shows might get there.
Oh, they will.
Is it happening?
Yeah.
It's happening. Anyway, so that is us. So thank you very much once again for watching and listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching TV, guys. Have you got any vanilla?